Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. Your host, Marguerite Crespillo, started this podcast simply dedicated to call people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now your host, Marguerite Crespillo.
Guess what time it is? It's time for Real Estate Real World. And thank you so much for joining us today on another fabulous episode of Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people, right? All the ones out there, the movers and the shakers and the ones that are doing things. Great to see all of you again. And I'm excited for today's guest. Corey Mckinney was born and raised in Torrance until he moved to the Sacramento area. He began his career working for his family-owned construction company before moving on to his career in advertising. He works for some of the largest advertising agencies in the world, climbing the ranks before deciding to pursue his passion in real estate. He thrives on helping others find that perfect home and provides a level of customer service second to none. His empathetic and positive attitude helps people accomplish their real estate goals while creating an enjoyable experience. Corey currently lives in Cameron Park, California. He's married with 2 children. In his free time, Corey enjoys buying, selling, and restoring vintage automobiles and driving them around town with his family. So thank you so much. Sorry for that. I batched that up there, but there you go. It's the real world. So thank you, Corey, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I guess I need to update my bio because I now have 4 kids.
I was just going to say, I thought you had more than 2. I was reading that. And I was like, I don't think that's right.
Yeah, time flies.
How old's your youngest now?
3 months.
Yeah, newborn. So I have a grandbaby who's going to be 5 months old tomorrow. So I knew you had a new one right around there. So congratulations. 4.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, now you have to buy extra seats on the airplane and all that new car.
Yes, a simple weekend getaway is getting quite expensive.
Yeah. You know what? Children are such a blessing. And I do have to tell you, you blink and all of a sudden they're grown. Like my baby is 27 years old, so they grow fast. Yeah.
Trying to savor every moment I can.
Exactly. I also, in reading your bio, I saw about the vintage cars. I don't think I knew about that either. So tell me a little bit about that, and then we'll dive into the real estate stuff.
Yeah, I've just been a huge car enthusiast my whole life. And that was what my advertising career before this was, heavy in the automotive industry. So all of the Super Bowl ads, brochures that are in dealerships, billboards, all of that was what my focus was on. I worked for various different brands, Nissan, Lexus, Toyota, Mitsubishi, in producing those. And then on my side business, starting from a fairly young age, in my early 20s, I started buying and selling old cars. And just I had a huge list of cars I always wanted to own. So I would go out, find a pretty rough version of the car that I loved, work on it, fix it up, drive it for a year or 2 as I spruced it up, sell it for a profit, and then just keep doing it over and over again. So I'm on car 18 in the last 6 years. Wow. But I think I found one that my kids now are dictating what car I buy next. And the one that I have now, they're saying keep it forever. I'm not sure. I might have to find another hobby.
What car do you have now then? What kind of car is that?
So I've owned a lot of old BMWs and old vintage Mercedes. And then the other realm of vehicles that I like are old vintage 4x4s. So right now I have a 1973 Toyota Land Cruiser.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty much all rebuilt except it needs paint work. So it looks good, or it looks terrible, but it runs great. So yeah, once I get it painted, I'll bring it around to some real estate events and start showing homes in it.
What crossed my mind when you were talking about all that, when I was a kid, my mom and my stepdad had one of those big, like a Woody. So it was like more like where you could sit in the back and face backwards. What kind of car is that? I can't think of what.
There's a couple different models that have seats like that.
Yeah. They were the original SUV.
Yep, exactly. You can shove anything in those things.
I just remember sitting in the back. You got to sit in the back seat and you could look out the back door, but I would always get car sick, so I could
Right.
never sit. But
Yeah.
well, that's really
Same.
cool. That's cool. So tell me again what led you to get into the real estate world?
So during my advertising days, my hobby was really au- cars and automotive stuff, and then real estate. Really, what got me into it is from an investment aspect. I was really intrigued by that, and then I found the Bigger Pockets website and started following their podcast, and I just dove headfirst into it. Out of high school, I took all my real estate courses, but I never got my license because my career path never went in that direction. After that, I was well versed in it, but I wasn't taking any sort of action. And my brother-in-law is a very successful agent in the Bay Area, and he and I are very close in all of our entrepreneurial discussions after hours after work. It was all real estate focused and how we could change the industry and bring about new technology into the real estate world. That led us to create a sort of business idea, and we just kept pursuing it. And we would stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5 days a week, building this idea as a makeshift idea. Had a developer build us a website and pitched it to a venture capitalist that was a connection of my brother-in-law's, and he ended up funding our real estate startup business. And we did that for about 3 years, and until the DRE kind of changed some rules on what we were able to do, not just us, but statewide, what people could do with IDX data. So that's data, homes for sale, and information about homes coming into real estate websites. We were pushing that out to the public for public use, similar to what Zillow has been doing for years. But because of our business model that we had, it turned our business model upside down. And we had some ways to pivot with it, but our venture capitalist decided to move in another direction and pull funding. And we all decided as a group, we're just going to set this project down and move forward with our lives. At that point, though, I had left my advertising career. That was back in Los Angeles area. We moved up here to Cameron Park, just outside of Sacramento, and I had 3 months of savings. I had my real estate license at this time, and two kids at home, and a mortgage, and my wife stays home, so I'm the sole income earner. And I had to just make the decision that I need to get to work. My life is all in on real estate now, so I guess I'm becoming an agent. Yeah.
That's a roundabout way of getting into the industry for sure. I'm not sure I've heard a story like that. So there you go. You started on a unique path, right? And so then you were at another brokerage, right? And you were
Yep.
on a team, I think, is what you had mentioned. You were on a team and you decided you wanted to go a different direction.
Yeah, my from that point, I wasn't sure if I wanted to become an agent, so I actually joined Redfin as an associate agent. So I did all the real estate kind of associated tasks, but I got so many clients ready to list their home and ready to purchase the home, and the second that it came to write it, and that
Mhm.
drove me crazy that I couldn't actually do the real estate transaction. And so I left from there and joined a team with.
And then what did you learn? How did things change for you? Because Redfin and Keller Williams is very different. And then now you're with EXP. So what has all of that transition, what have you learned from all that?
I'm very thankful for the path that I had. Very thankful for my time at Redfin and Keller Williams, but those two positions taught me all the daily tasks, working in the business, not working on your business, where you're how to show a home, how to speak with inspectors, how to interact with clients, how to show homes and not look like you're totally fumbling with the lockbox and encountering issues while showing the home, whether there's no key in the box or the house is completely locked, issues like that. I got that all out of my system, especially at Redfin. And then at Keller Williams, it was really about learning how to work on your business and lead generation and scripts and cold calling and how to build your business up. But I found myself capping out on the benefits that team was providing me. And I was on that team for almost 3 years, and probably about 2 years in, I knew that I needed to find the next step for myself and where that was. And yeah, EXP ended up, it was always in the back of my mind. I loved the model, and I had looked at it a couple times in the past, but I never really looked at it deeply, and I really wish I had. But yeah, once I sat down and looked into it, it was a no-brainer for me.
I'm curious what you, because when I saw the model, I'd been 20 some odd, 25 years in real estate. So to me, it was definitely a no brainer. But I'm curious with somebody who is newer, like you were, what stood out the most to you in the model with EXP? What is it that really resonated with
That's a really good question. So for me, on the team that I was on, the skills and everything that they were teaching me were phenomenal. I'm forever grateful in that because that really launched my career. But the leadership dynamic and the brokerage dynamic wasn't a good fit for me. We started not necessarily bumping heads, but professionally, we I wanted to move in a different direction than where my team leader very strictly wanted me to stay in this path. And looking elsewhere, I knew that I wanted to break off and go as a solo agent. And the previous team I was on, it was drilled into you, or they really made it seem like you can't do this on your own without their team. And for me, it was really starting over. I lost my database, I lost my email, I lost my phone number, everything I was doing to communicate with agents, or sorry, clients, I had to rebuild. And so that really scared me. And I was used to that team support. So when I spoke with Gail, really is the first, Gail DeMarco was the first person I spoke with about EXP. She explained to me the model and how through her organization, the people that are supporting me and helping me give me all those team resources, but I can still go off and thrive as an individual agent. To
right?
me, that was the best. I'm really getting the best of both worlds. I can drive the business in the way that I want to, but if I have a question on something I'm not familiar with, if I need to discuss with somebody on how I can build my brand better or up my price points or how do I handle this unique transaction, I have that organization right here that I can step into, and I'm not just lost going by myself. And honestly, I wouldn't have my brand recognition or the team that I have now without any of that. Within a week of transitioning from Keller Williams to EXP, I had brand new, very high quality professional headshot, a logo that I loved. I had my own kind of branding and new signs and everything. It was almost like a flip of a switch. And that to me was a really no brainer.
And so since then, now you have actually started to develop and build your own team, right?
Right. Yeah, it came about organically. I didn't go off pursuing team leader role necessarily or trying to grow my team. My thought process, a lot of people think EXP is just purely about recruiting. And I enjoy sharing with people my experience with EXP because a lot of other agents I've found are looking for a similar experience. So when I share it with a couple of agents in the past, they have asked specifically to join my team. A lot of that comes in. I think a lot of what has attracted people to my team is that I come from a very strict lead generation, cold calling background on my previous team. So a lot of those disciplines have carried over to where it's easy for me to teach that to other agents. And then it really becomes, it's a two-way street. They have to also do the work and put in the work and make the calls and make the dials, but I can help them build up those skills rather quickly and at least give them the outline of what they should be doing on a daily basis to be successful.
So it's interesting because I'm on a call, I'm on a weekly call with Randy Bird, and
Mhm.
he talks a lot about, right, call reluctance, right, which we have not only in our real estate career, but also in talking to agents. And so, in both arenas, how do you or how have you gotten past that call reluctance aspect of making those calls like you should?
Yeah, it's just doing it. It's just picking up the phone. For me, I started with a dialer system. When I first joined my team, I would have the biggest butterflies. I would feel like I'm going to throw up when I'm clicking start on that dialer.
That's how
And
I.
there was times I'm a grown man driving home calling my wife almost near in tears. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a natural salesman type person. I felt like I was calling people and trying to force them into a sale and pitch something that they don't want and shove it down their throat. And I really had to shift my mindset. It was a lot about mindset, is that I'm not having to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. I'm offering my services, and the people who want to take those services already have the desire to go out and buy a home or sell their home. I'm just offering my services and skills and knowledge to guide them along that path of something they already want to do. And so just by talking to enough people, you're going to come across those people that want your help. And so once that clicked in my head, picking up that phone and making those dials just became so easy and so natural, and making money. That's why we're doing this job. And so once you have those first tastes of success, I got my first transaction was a listing off a cold call. And within 3 months of that first listing, I had two other buyers and two other listings purely from cold calling. When I moved up to Cameron Park, I had no family here. I had one friend that lived in Roseville. It was just my wife and I fell in love with the area and we pulled the trigger. And so I didn't have a sphere I could rely on. I didn't have friends from a local high school I could call. I had to really build that all from scratch. And I was making probably 300 to 500 phone calls a day for 2.5 years straight.
Wow, that's a lot. It's funny. I was listening this morning. I don't know if you know who Alex Hermosi is, but
Yes.
I don't even know what he does actually. He's an influencer.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how the number 100, he goes, choose to do 100 of anything for 100 days and watch your success, right?
Right.
Make that 100 calls, make it 100 social media posts, make it whatever that is. But whatever you have to do is make 100 of it. And if you do that daily for 100 days, you cannot fail, right? And
Right.
I thought,
Yep.
100 calls, that's crazy. And then I just heard you say 3 to 500 calls. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
holy schmoly, that's a lot of calls. But it's clearly contributed to your success because you've done well, not only with your team, but you are now starting to focus some energy on the agent attraction piece and helping supporting those agents. It's not a matter of just trying to recruit them just to recruit them. What I've seen is how much you're pouring into them and helping support them. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what the biggest satisfaction for me in doing it too is that somebody who has that mindset of I want to do this, but I don't know if I can, or I'm not sure how. And that's exactly how I felt when I first came into it. The reason I joined the previous team is I knew it was going to be tough. I knew it was a cold calling based team. But like you said, Harmozy said, if you do this thing, you will make money. And so I knew that it was going to be really tough, but I had a family to support. I didn't have a choice. So I was in there just grinding away, and sharing that with my team members now is so fulfilling. And they're seeing from the time they joined my team to the time now, there's one of my youngest team members. He was working at a gas station before this. And I was interacting with the owner of the gas station as a client of mine. And he stopped me on my way out and said, "Hey, I'm about to finish my real estate courses and I would love to get some more information." We got coffee, and the person he is now from the person on the day that I first met him is night and day. You wouldn't even recognize the difference between the two. His professionalism, his dedication, and he's really come a long way and had good success. And so I'm very proud of that.
And what's his name?
Aiden Hartz.
Cool. We're going to call him right out. And
Yeah.
we're going to get him on the podcast too, because I love to hear stories like that. To take somebody, even your background, to come from vintage cars and advertising to end up in the real estate world. Like, I'm just, I continue to be inspired by this industry as a whole, because it can take somebody like myself. I barely graduated high school by the skin of my teeth. And so I don't have this strong educational background or anything like that. And not only has the real estate industry changed many of these people's lives, but on top of that, it has clearly, EXP has changed lives as well. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's vastly changed my life. One of the biggest things that I didn't like about my previous team is how strict it was. It was great because it kept you on task. But for me, one of the big attractors to this business is the lifestyle and being able to have the freedom to create my own schedule. I knew that once I had those disciplines built into me and built into my daily routine, that I knew I wanted to take it my own path. And so leaving that team allowed me to take my kids to school every day, be at every single soccer practice, swim meet, gymnastics class that I want to be at. Sometimes I can't make them all, but doing those things has not only improved my life, but it's also exploded my business. Interacting with parents at that school drop off has gotten me probably 4 or 5 listings in the last year and a half. And I would have never been in that position had I not, if I'd have just been sitting in my office making cold calls. Maybe I would have the same level of business, but I made genuine great connections with people and were able to help them out on the real estate side at the same time. And so I really feel like I'm in the place that I'm supposed to be at now.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit of real estate as a whole, is having that flexibility.
Right.
So what does it look like? What are your goals? What does it look like for you as we wrap up today? Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? What's on your list of things you want to do and help accomplish?
Yeah, my goals are really to help my team members create the lives that they want. That's really the biggest thing, is help them achieve their goals. We are prepping to, as we go into fall and tail end of this year, we're doing a big business planning meeting where we're going to set all of our goals, reverse engineer them, break it down to what we need to do on a day-to-day basis for each one of their individual goals. So they know exactly what they need to do so they can achieve them. For me personally, um, I have had quite a bit of success in diving into the commercial space. I've closed a couple commercial transactions that were pretty intense and pretty large transactions, but I loved the challenge. I really enjoyed that. It's a different whole beast, but that has grown my business in a very different way. And now I have another commercial listing on the market. I have a pretty significant commercial listing coming on the market here shortly, and 2 other lease deals, as well as 2 commercial buyers. So it's taken my business in a whole different direction that I wasn't, again, planning on it, but I'm having a great time doing that. So I could see my brand being noted for, or I want to grow my brand into having a reputation of being able to handle it all. Residential, commercial, land is our slogan. We can do it all and do it at a very high level.
That's really exciting because EXP has EXP Commercial now.
Right.
And that division of the company is exploding and taking off. So that's a huge opportunity for you there as well. And that's pretty exciting. So I'm
Yes,
excited
it's
to
been
hear
very
more about
fun.
that. And what I was thinking too, as you were talking about your business planning, is if you are open to sharing that, we should have you as a guest on my Tuesday tune-ups, and you could do a little training on that. That would be pretty exciting. Would you be open to doing that? I threw you on the
Oh,
spot. So there you go.
oh, absolutely. I'd love to. EXP, compared to my other brokerages that I've been with too, is everybody's willing to share what works for them, and we really all just win together. So yeah, absolutely, I'd be happy to share that, and it helped me tremendously. It really focuses in based on the what number you want to achieve that year as income or number of transactions, but really it's an income based number, and we run it backwards, and it tells you literally what you need to do on a day per day basis, and then from there you can break it down hour by hour, and it keeps your work life and your home life separated but structured, so you can feel like every day you go home that you've accomplished something
I
in the
love
day.
that, because, and so we'll definitely be reaching out to you to have you as a guest on Tuesday Tune-Ups. So for those of you listening, Tuesday Tune-Ups are every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Open to anybody with any company. Feel free
Can
to
you hear me
message
still?
me and I'll send you that list. Thank you so much, Corey, for joining us today. We're thankful for the time that you spent with us today. And if you guys will have his contact information in the show notes. And we look forward to watching your success. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people. Be sure to follow us on all the social media channels, and we'll for sure be having some amazing guests coming up, and we're thrilled to have had Corey here today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in real estate and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others find our podcast. For show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email. Thanks again for listening. And go out there, be a part of the elite masterclass in raising the bar on the real estate industry.